the story with UAPs, right? And unidentified
aerial phenomenon.
That's right, because they change it up on us all the time. So there's this new documentary that's coming out that I started. You're in it as well. Marco Rubio, a bunch of other guys. Alizando, I think, is also in it. A few other people are in it. If you want to play the clip, Rob, go ahead and play the clip.
The age of disclosure.
The age of disclosure.
The producer will be happy you're talking about this.
It's good.
We've had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities.
Leading
and it's
Florida.
not ours.
These
Beautiful
are otherworldly things that are performing maneuvers that haven't been seen.
There's a whole fleet of them.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
This is so secret. There have been very few people in our entire government that have been allowed or provided access to it.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees. People have been hurt protecting and hiding this information.
Some people claim it would cost them their lives if they spoke out about these things.
You had information being locked away that could change the trajectory for a species.
You can pause around. November 21st, this is coming out. So
it'll be available on Amazon Prime, and you can see it in Tampa.
Great, fantastic. So while we're seeing this, okay, and everything that's being said about this, one of Rogan's biggest podcasts I think it's his biggest podcast he ever did, bigger than President Trump. I think it's Lazar and Jeremy, I'm going to say his last name, Corbell, right? I'm sure you've seen this.
I know Lazar, or I know Corbell. I've heard of Lazar.
Okay, so Lazar is like the one that only comes out with Corbell. Like if Corbell is not, Lazar typically doesn't want to come out and talk to anybody. Right there, if you look at that.
Corbell's been very helpful with some of our stuff.
65 million views is what that podcast did. Here's what he had to say, where some people watch this. Guys I had on, when I had Alessandro on, I cannot tell you how many text messages I got from people who are former CIA or some of the guys that are in. Let me tell you, I don't trust this guy, I'm like, look, I'm just having a conversation with the guy. I'm not sitting here saying anything.
You're like, I'm not endorsing him.
Here's what Corbell had to say. Go ahead, Rob.
So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie.
So, who do we believe, Anna?
Look, I have seen some interesting stuff on this task force, and I'm not the only one. So Tim Burchett's been in this game a lot longer than I have. Eric Burleson is helping with setting up the UAP stuff because, again, we do this in between our other investigations and our other work. But this is, again, one of the biggest bipartisan and bicameral topics in Congress currently. And if you look up the video that was just played at our last hearing that we did, it was on the Hellfire missile being deflected by one of these UAPs. That specifically, I think, should, for national security reasons, have everyone questioning what we were really being told about these things. We are also denied access by the Department of War to certain footage, and Oversight had actually put this out, or we put it out in a statement in regards to
this guy.
Yeah. Yep. Deflect. We actually entered that
United States government arsenal that can split a hellfire.
Yeah. So that was taken from an MQ-9 off the coast of Africa. And this footage was dead dropped to Eric Burleson, and then he played it in the hearing. But the point is that this information was not shown with members of Congress. We've been, and I always tell the historical story now, infamous, on the Eglin Air Force Base incident where me, Burchett, and Matt Gaetz had gone to follow up on inquiry from pilots that had come to Representative Gates' office saying that the Air Force was covering up UAP activity off the coast of Eglin Air Force Base in the Panhandle. And as a result of that, I mean, they had a lot of egg on their face. I mean, this got into basically a pissing match between the legislative branch and the Department of Defense at the time under Lloyd Austin in regards to whether they could cancel our meetings. The commander of the base left in the middle of our hearing, like of our field hearing basically there, took off and left to go on leave. I've never, like, have you ever heard of a base commander just leaving in the middle of a congressional delegation? No. Never, ever. He gets up in the middle of our conversation.
And this is
at Eglin Air Force Base. This was the base commander.
Can you give the name or no?
I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
Oh, so it's not like it's not public. It's public that he.
Well, we publicly went public with what happened because the Air Force tried to stonewall us in regards to following up all these investigations into UAPs, and this was under the Biden administration. So this is starting in 2022. But long story short, in the middle of our hearing, he basically gets up and leaves, and then he sent his kind of second in command to handle us, if you will. So me, Gates, and Burchett. I remember Burchett told the commanding officer, he goes, "You can do this the easy way or the hard way, buddy. You have a member of House Armed Services here, 2 members of Oversight, and if you don't do it here, we're going to call you up to Washington to testify in front of Congress. You can explain yourself to the American people then." But they wouldn't let us talk to any of the pilots except for one, and then saw some interesting stuff. And so what I will tell you is that footage, the fact that it was dead dropped to Burleson, I'm certain that there's more of where that comes from. And we are going to push for the declassification of stuff that we've seen because I think the American people deserve to see it. But I think, you're never going to have the U.S. government admit or try to explain something if it's also somewhat not specifically pertaining to national defense. So if it's not tech that we've made, not involving a foreign government, I think that you're going to see a direct statement from that. What's interesting, and I kind of went into this with Joe Rogan, is when we were talking to some of the witnesses, they don't call them extraterrestrial. They call them interdimensional. There's also this aspect of these things defying physics as we know it. And then you look into texts that were removed from the Bible, like the Book of Enoch, that actually specifically address technologies, if you will, that were given to mankind or of entities not of human origin, non-human intelligence. So these are all things to consider when addressing the topic. But based on what I've seen, not speculating, based on the evidence that I've seen, there's something out there. And based on what I'm saying is it's not. I think that it's along the lines of that video that you just saw.
Have they shown you? Okay, so
I have to be careful because I could get in trouble if I divulge what I've been shown in a skiff. So what I can tell you is I'm just telling you as me, not specifically addressing skiff stuff, that they're real. And I'm not the only one. You just saw the Secretary of State in a documentary addressing the same thing. I know it's a mind loop, right? But like Pinellas County, where I specifically represent, there's actually a high number of these reported sightings. But it's not just there. A lot of the members on the task force or that gavel into this, first of all, it's bipartisan and bicameral. Like we've had pretty much everyone's like circulated at one point, right? Through task questions and whatnot. But members in Alaska, the member of Alaska specifically has a lot of reports of this. People that, represent these areas. When you get calls to the office, I've seen a lot of kooky stuff too that I know it's like crazy, like provably false. That's AI, CGI, whatever. But then you have the stuff that you can't explain. And then you have the attacks on the witnesses that come forward to testify, which if it wasn't real, why would you try to be discrediting someone? Why is the Department of the VA leaking people's records to the press if it's not real, right? It's like if if you're being told not to look under that rock, you might look under the rock. And so that actually happened to David Grush when he came forward to testify. is his medical records were leaked to the press.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I'm a math guy. So basics of math, what do we not know a lot about? We don't know 95% of what's in the ocean, and we don't know.
The ocean's super scary.
Right, that's
the
different.
stuff we hear about USOs.
Yeah.
That's a separate topic.
That's a separate topic, yeah. But and when you look up there, like, what's out there? Anything. What's possible? What's capable? There's so many different things that we can be thinking about. So that's one. But then if we go back to COVID and think about how the virus came in and they scared the crap out of everybody.
Well, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just going to jump in. 100%, I believe, released by China as a biowarfare weapon. 100%. They locked up our chain of supplies to be able to actually fight it. They
100%.
They started hitting us months out prior. Do you remember the social programming that was taking place on Snapchat with the masks? Do you remember that? Little kids were putting on these masks and it was a filter. That was like a year and a half out from COVID where people could put the filters on. You're completely desensitizing a population to wearing masks. You guys don't remember the Snapchat
I don't remember
masks?
the mask thing.
Yeah, type in, look, you see the little bear mask filter? This was like on Snapchat for a while. People were doing the masks. Okay, so like just listen. So you're setting up a population.
Type in when they started it.
Yeah, when they started that. It was like 2017. I remember like when Snapchat really started, it was like a thing. But it wasn't just that. Then you also too started having the infiltration of these videos, painting it out to be this deadly disease when we know now that the survivability rate of COVID was really high. So then you saw this like almost dystopian power play with different people, local. I mean, it was crazy. But then you look at what China did trying to pull the same crap here when Trump got elected again. They didn't do it under Biden. You see in Michigan, you have reports. This happened twice. You had spies coming in with bio-agro-terrorism weapons to try to release them on our ag supply to kill and make our people sick. That happened multiple times out of Michigan from the Chinese government. No one's talking about that. It happened multiple times in the same way that they try to release that crap with COVID. So I keep saying it. China is an absolute threat. If you don't think it's a threat, you're not paying attention. If you don't think China wants to be number one and get us out of the way, you have not been paying attention.
So you trust Russia more than you trust China?
I'm not saying that I trust anyone. I only trust the United States. But what I will say is that as far as the threat matrix is concerned, I think China's a way bigger threat.
Yeah. So to me, these two stories, had a Jada Pinkett moment, but they entangled. They just entangled. But she used that phrase, entanglement. I don't know if you remember that or not. But so the two stories. So let's go to the alien side. The alien side, one side for me is, all right, they're going to use the whole fear porn of, let me tell you what's coming. We have to shut it down. Everybody needs to stay inside. What Jeremy Corbell is saying, it sounds realistic that a administration could do that to get what they want, and whatever that may be. This is why we need to do this, and this is why we need to do that. I like that he's putting it out there that other people can be like, all right, if it happens, we got to be ready for it. Especially nowadays with the AI and the videos that they're making. Anna, it's incredibly...
Well, there's also drone technology. So like a lot of this stuff can be explained with drones. A lot of it can be explained with AI. But then there's the stuff that you can't explain. And that's the stuff that we're interested in trying to declassify and pushing for declassification. But also we've been straight up denied access. So you're saying that members of Congress don't have access, but we're writing the checks. So do we live in a truly free and fair society if members of Congress can't provide oversight on that? Because ultimately, we're the advocates for the American people. This is a bipartisan issue. But I think that people don't like talking about it because there's been a stigma created on it by our own government under, decades following Roswell. under Roswell, that have ultimately resulted in people thinking specifically of the baby boomer generation era that it's a crazy topic to discuss, where you have people that are more, Gen X and onward that are like, okay, there might be something out there. But Dr. Avi Loeb actually puts it best. He's a Harvard astrophysicist. He says, why are we busy looking for, little single-celled organisms on Mars when we can be looking for a house with people in it? And I think, I don't care what religion you are in the world, it talks about other creations other than human beings. I'm a Christian, so I have a biblical perspective on this, and you can fill in the gaps on that. But what I think is that it would be pretty naive to think that we are the only creation in this galaxy, let alone the universe.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not one that's not with that. It's how it's going to be used for us. Can you actually ask for them to allow you to go to Area 51 or no? You
We've
can't
asked.
ask them?
Burleson actually got permission for us to go, but there's nothing at Area 51. I think Area 51, first of all, aside from radioactive, potentially water, Area 51 would not be where they would be like housing this information. I do think that there's a massive amount of information being housed at the Department of War, specifically siloed from Congress, that involves certain footage, whatever it might be. Actually, Tucker Carlson, when he was on Fox News, he actually had pulled up, he actually showed declassified videos of those flying triangles. Do you remember that? Can you pull that up just to show? Because to be clear, this was declassified out of the Pentagon. So when people try to say that I'm pushing kooky theories, really? Because I'm just talking about what the evidence is already out there. I'm just asking the questions.
The triangle.
Yeah, the flying triangles. That's a Tic Tac.
No, if you go lower, you'll
go
find
lower.
it,
You'll
Rob.
probably find. You'll probably find it if you go lower. Or you could type in like Pentagon pyramids and see if that pops up.
I'm going to do the same thing on X.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Pentagon. Oh, you just had it. It's okay, right there. Yep.
That's Fox, not Tucker, though.
Well, he had it on his show, but I knew if it would probably populate on the search. But yeah, so like this has all been declassified out of our own government. Plenty of religions around the world talk about this stuff. So I simply think that we're just, talking about stuff that humanity probably already knows.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's going to come a time where, there could be a possible attack, like a warning, hey, the world be ready
What's been interesting on... So I think that this gets into, like, you're always going to have the possibility of people taking things and using them for their own power gain. I think that politics and big governments tend to be very narcissistic and egocentric and self-driven in that sense. So, of course, that's always a concern. But I think the real question you should be asking is, does this confirm what it talked about in the book of Enoch? And I would really advise people to read that. And I think that it's interesting that it was taken out of the Bible. It was around, I think it was the 4th or 5th century that it was removed. But that even in our modern day, very watered down version of the Bible, that it still references Enoch. And so when you read the book of Enoch, and I've read it now 3 times, it's very interesting what it discusses regarding the technologies, et cetera, fallen angels, all of that. So all that to say that, we ask questions and we have the conversation where previous Congresses have not been able to do that.
To Enoch. After 2 years of working on this, we have finally pulled it off. And let me tell you what it is. Every time we do the Vol Conference, if you've attended, you know this. I stand up and I speak for probably 45 hours is what I do at the Vol Conference. And I love it. I love being around the guys. I love it. But I wear the Ferragamo shoes when I do this. Or I wear some kind of dress shoes. Eventually, for the last 25 years, I've always been on stage walking around. I'm like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of it. I want a shoe that I'm comfortable wearing. And here's what I love. I don't like shoes that are so heavy. That's a dumbbell. You can use it as a weapon. I don't want that. Like the Xenia, you carry it. I have so many of them, but they're so heavy. Like you can literally curl the Xenia down, the shoes, and you'll get a pump within 30 reps. And I wanted the combination of the Hoka, the On-Cloud, the Super Foam, because there's a big thing going on right now with the Super Foam where the bottom of the shoe, you wear it. You know which ones I'm talking about, the On-Cloud or the Hokas, right? They're so comfortable. And I said, what if we take luxury and then combine it with the super comfort? What would that look like? And let's build it in Italy. So what do? We went to Italy. We designed the shoe in Florida. We made the shoe in Italy in 5 of the factories. We went back and forth, God knows how many times. And by the way, the shoes we're about to launch and introduce to you right now, where you're going to see the video for the first time, I've been wearing those shoes for the last 22 days straight. I'm wearing them right now. I literally wear it with suits. I wore it yesterday when we went to lunch. I wear it every single day. It's the most comfortable shoes I have, yet it's authentic Italian leather. Rob, if you don't mind playing the video, go for it. Here's the video of the latest shoe, the FLBs. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless.
Boom.
There you go. Designed in Florida, 100% made in Italy. 50 hands touch each shoe that was made. And here's what's unique about it. I want to kind of show this to everybody that knows this. And I've worn pretty much every one of these shoes. So if you compare this, the Italian leather, of course, it's made in Italy. It's not assembled, made in China, assembled in Italy, 100% made in Italy, assembled in Italy. It's FLBs, Berluttis, which are 1840, Ferragamos are $895, Zennias are $1190, and Gucci's are $950. Leather premium lining, all of them except for Gucci. Laceless feature, it's the FLBs, the Berluttis, you have laces, Ferragamos laceless, and then you have also the Zennias, and then the Gucci's have the laces. I don't want to wake up in the morning, put laces on. I want to get out the house. Took me 3 seconds to put my shoes on today. Craftsman, 5 different Italian factories all made this shoe. Berluttis are the same as us, as well as FLB. But the only shoe, these trainers, the only one in the world today, according to the factories that told me this in Italy, that has the super foam, the only one that has the same super foam used in the On Clouds and the Hokas, it's the FLBs, and they're officially out, and you can place the order. Here's a challenge. We only have 1,000 of these pairs. And when you say 1,000 of these pairs, they start from size, I believe, is it 8? It goes 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, 12, 13. Those are the sizes that we have. And the shoes that you can get today, the colors, you have access to, Rob, if you can go back there, you can have access to those browns, which is absolutely beautiful. And by the way, the brown on the bottom, the stitching on the side is a left stitching. If you can change the picture, and on the bottom it says the future looks bright. Look at the white lines on the side. It's beautiful. The only ones we have right now that you can get sent out today are the black and the browns. If you do want the white to pre-order, I would highly recommend you do so. They're going to come out the second week of December. So the white and the navy blue comes out the second week of December. The browns and the blacks are available. If you believe the future looks bright as much as we do, go place the order. There's nothing like sitting in the boardroom with your trainers and you put your feet over your knee and people look at the bottom of your shoe and it says future looks bright. That's how you get deals done. All right, so they're out. I'm excited to announce it, and I'm very happy for people to go sport it. When you get them, take pictures, send it our way. We're going to show all these shoes, all the pictures that are being taken. I already got a bunch of them sent to me on Instagram. Go to vtmerch.com, place your order. It's all over the website. Maybe buy it for your husband, buy it for your brother, buy it for your coworkers, buy it for your best salespeople if you want to let them know the future looks bright. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.